that he wasn't anywhere near Jett when it came to, time qualifying, and then during the race wicked it up, found an extra gear, and dude, hunted this guy down. What's up, everybody? It's Dave Drakes with The Collective Experience, and we are back for another Foul Plugs. Now, I know we've taken a bit of a hiatus, but we are back. We've got our stuff together, and we're excited to do this one. And I figure since we're kicking it off with getting back into the role and the way things are steadily flowing, why not do a cool joint venture with BigMX Radio? And of course, if you've seen the channel, if you've done anything with The Collective Experience, you know this guy's face. It's Brad Gebhart, sole proprietor of the BigMX Radio podcast. What's going on, dude?
Hey, not doing too bad, man. A little bit of a one-man show up here in the Great White North of Canada. Yeah. And don't ask me about the Canadian series. I don't watch it nearly enough, mainly because that is an absolute whack-a-mole of a series. Like teams, races. Sometimes it's Supercross, sometimes it's not. It's a Triple Crown that only has two racing. As of right now, only has two racing disciplines. But we're not even going to go there. This is a joint effort. This is a collab, as they call it.
Yes.
Foul Plugs, BigMX Radio. Maybe you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, where you can find the BigMX Radio podcast. Maybe you're right here on YouTube. Both viewers who frequent your shows. Pleasure to have you.
Hi, Mom.
It's always a pleasure to shoot the shit with you. Yep. We are great friends. We have shared hotel rooms. We've shared women. I mean, and everything else in between. So I'm excited to get back on here. You and I haven't recorded anything for quite some time. But we're gonna crack things open. We're gonna dissect a little bit about this outdoor series. And also get into all the ins and outs of maybe some silly season stuff as well. So let's kick it off.
Awesome. So I want to start off with the 250s. Now, since you're coming back on, I'll leave the heavy lifting to you in the 450s. I'll give you that pleasure. I'll handle the 250s. Right. So the first thing that I want to talk about, the very first thing is Jett Lawrence. On everyone's mind, the kid has had a pretty stellar year. He's the current points leader after the whole Ironman ride, which, I'll kind of talk about that a little bit too and get your 2 cents on it. I want to say that I'm very impressed with the way he's riding. However, I hear so many people talking about, Jett is a second coming. Jett is like, the next Stu. Jett is like, his stats are like Stu. And dude, I'm a huge Jett fan. Like Jett is, love him. I had a blast with him, did a video with him. Good buddy. I think even Jett would say, like, dude, you can't compare Jett to guys like Stewart, like Carmichael when they first went pro. It is night and day difference. And you got to understand the sports elevation is so different. Now, having said that, I want to say Jett is surpassing expectations for a young kid in modern era of motocross. He is riding phenomenal. And I think that everything around Jett, his brand, his riding is just A1. And really, you can't get much better unless you get a little bit more consistent, which I think is asking too much of a young guy in the 250s. Brad, what are your thoughts on the number 18 Honda rider? Because, I'm a big fan. I'm sold on him. I think he's going to go far in the sport. I think he's phenomenal. Do you think that he has what it takes not only to wrap up this series and this championship, which it looks like he's going to do, but do you think he can take it farther and maybe say add a couple Supercross titles to it, maybe add some 450s and be that legend of the sport that people, and including myself, think that he is destined to be?
Well, I'm going to start off by this, is that the Lawrence brothers as a whole are just entertainment. I love to watch them. They make being a professional motocross racer look like a fun job to have.
Yes.
And that's what I've always loved about my favorite racers, is guys who genuinely make being at the tip of the spear look like a fun job to have. Yeah. Inversely, you have a guy like Eli Tomac, who from the very get-go of his career, even when he's winning 250 titles in Supercross, outdoors, waxing people on 450s, he's never really like even when he did that two-stroke edit, it felt forced. He's like, I'm going to have fun on this, but it's not going to be that fun. Yeah. Whereas Jett Lawrence is just so vivacious and in your face, and he like, of course, Lucas Myrtle has so much to do with this. Like,
Yeah.
like a tip of the cap to that guy, because he's just a branding dynamo.
Dude's a
and
rock
it's
star.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
On the racing standpoint, Jett Lawrence, extremely talented, flashy.
Yep.
Like, people say he doesn't have a flashy style. But the thing is when you watch him, he always stands out. So how is that not flashy? Exactly. He doesn't absolutely turn the bike upside down, but what 17-year-old does, 18-year-old does. There's not a lot of guys that have those types of skills, especially when you're trying to cultivate speed.
Yeah.
Like the guy at one point this weekend, he was 3 seconds faster than anybody else.
Yeah.
If you want to compare him to Stewart, those are comparables to James Stewart. But I think that he's done a disservice when you compare him to the greats, the guy over your right shoulder, like one of the best to ever do it, all time, still number 1 in all time wins in the 125 class.
Yep.
The only time he ever raced on a 250F, he won it outright by a bigger margin than he won any of the races prior to that. He won his first title on a 125. He went undefeated in the second year, only racing 8 nationals and getting 3rd in the points. And then had his final season on a 125, went 23 for 24. That is not comparable.
Thank you.
You can't, you were doing Jett Lawrence a disservice by saying that's where he is. Exactly. Because those numbers, especially in today's day and age, are just not possible. Is he dominant? Absolutely. Can he win races and championships and will likely win this one? Absolutely. But at the same time, he's competed in a possible 2 full Supercross championships and has a bagel up on that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's there are chinks to his armor, but at the same time, he's been extremely productive. He's great off the bike. He's great on the bike. He's fun to watch. The Alpine Stars head to toe is a beautiful look. Racing for HRC is just there's something beautiful and American about that. Like the red, the white, the blue, the beautiful. Yeah. I absolutely love it. And then you get the extracurriculars when he's off the bike. He's doing the donuts and everything else in between. I'm a fan. I like the way what I see from him. But honestly, the hype or this great expectation, I feel does him a disservice, because I just wish they would just let the kid be what he's gonna be. And if that's a multi-time championship winner in the sport, 450s, 250s, that's awesome. I'd love to cover the story. Yes. But don't give this guy multiple outdoor 450 championships before he wins his first one on the 250s.
Yeah. And a thing that you said was they're not comparable. The era of Stu and Carmichael, they're not this. It's different than now. You got to understand those when they exited the sport, when Carmichael and Stu exited the sport, and you can throw in Reed in there as well. They elevated the sport so freaking much. Those guys were such outliers that, I mean, really, they were ahead of their era. They literally could have raced those same bikes back then now and have done probably pretty good. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say they're killing it, down on 20 horsepower, but think about it.
Those guys showed us where the potential goes.
Yes, exactly.
That was the absolute pinnacle. And I feel like we're kind of still there. Obviously with bike technology and everything, things move forward slightly. Yes. But now, they were the first example of this is basically the limit of how fucking fast you can go on 2 wheels on a dirt bike. Yep. Yes, you can have better ignition curves. You can have better starts. You can have better technique in the corners. Yep. Those are little incremental 1% things. These guys were there was certain years where Ricky Carmichael was maybe 10% better than everybody.
Yes.
And the generation behind that saw that puzzle, saw that equation, and so many people implemented it.
Exactly.
What you now you have guys that are guys like David Pulley. I give David Pulley so much shit for he's always posting on Instagram and TikTok and this, that, and the other thing. The guy is lucky if he makes himself a night show. But the guy is an absolute fucking badass on 2 wheels. Yeah. If he showed up at your local track, you wouldn't catch his back
blowing your doors off.
Back fender.
Yeah, he's blowing your doors off.
And that's where the level is at nowadays. Because now, or back then, if you watched a national and the guy in 40th place, Davies, he's not. It's not even comparable. It doesn't even look remotely similar to the guys at the front of the pack. Whereas nowadays, the guys in the back 30, like the 30 on back, they're still fucking bad.
They're still ripping. And I think they, just like any other sport, when you have progression, we as kids, we all watch Stu and Carmichael raise the bar. So that becomes like the, oh, now I see what's possible. So now you kind of hold yourself to that same similar standard, per se. Obviously, not a lot of us get there. But I mean, and I think, I don't know. It just, there was such a separation between Stu and the rest of the competition, RC versus the rest of the competition. And now the competition has risen. Jett, I'm sure if you put him with Stuart Carmichael back then, it'd be a different story. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure he could put up some really cool stats, but like, it's just a whole different era. And I think, like you said, you're doing a disservice to how great Jett is when we compare him to stuff like that. I will say, I don't want to get too long-winded on this.
We are extremely long-winded on this.
I'm very impressed with the fact that he did lose the points leads rather, and had the wherewithal to put in these smart rides, not go over his head, not let the pressure get to him, and really chip away at that. And and now he's a red plate holder as a young kid. That's almost unheard of. You'll see a fast kid. Yes, you'll see a fast kid get a red plate. They'll lose it like that to a vet rider, like
Is that his first overall since the first round?
I don't think so. I think he's had another overall, I want to say.
I don't think so. I think that's been J-Mart.
Wasn't it Wal Schugel or something? I'm not sure. I can't tell you. But yeah, great radio. But yeah, I'm sure like dude, it was phenomenal. And the way that he rode on this past weekend was absolutely phenomenal, which brings me to my second point of the 250s. J-Mart has had an up and down season. I
say the least,
dude.
If up and down you mean by like the bottom of Mount Rushmore and then the top of Mount Rushmore,
dude,
which we're not even going to get into that.
But it's been insane. I mean, so many people were waiting for the Cooper versus Jett versus J-Mart battle, versus Faulkner. Also, you could throw him in there. And I feel like he's just been mired with bad luck, inconsistency, and then he'll go out there and wax these guys, and we almost forget, like, oh shit, like J-Mart is out here, like he's a beast. He's so fast. Yeah, but we it's just out of our mind a little bit until, and I think this was an awesome ride until Iron Man, like he really snapped back on my radar. Obviously, I'm a J-Mart fan. Who isn't? The guy's an absolute animal, but like, he wasn't talked about. He was out for some races. It wasn't talked about, blah, blah, blah. And then watching him destroy, and I mean absolutely freaking destroy Iron Man, like that guy's corner speed, and how they didn't mention it in the broadcast. If they, they're crazy. This guy came into some corners so freaking fast, charged some ruts.
The hero lines that Jeff Hemming was calling them.
Oh,
literally, like, I'm gonna go around the outside of this corner absolutely like as fast. Like this probably isn't faster. Yeah. But if I do it fast enough, it will be.
Exactly. And the fact that he wasn't anywhere near Jett when it came to, time qualifying. And then during the race, wicked it up, found an extra gear, and hunted this guy down, caught and passed Cooper, pulled him, went after Jett, who set some of the fastest 3 lap times, I think, in qualifying section 2, P1, 2, and 3, he could have went to him. Like, dude, I mean, that's insane to me, and it's such a bummer that he had another lull and another dip in his consistency and had that injury. Say that J-Mart didn't have that injury. Say J-Mart had some consistent rides. I wouldn't say win everything, but maybe some 5th, 4th, 3rds. Would he be the red plate
if he doesn't crash? Like, he was the class of the field this summer.
Okay, I like that.
Absolutely. I still think he has the most amount of outdoor wins, if I'm not mistaken. He still has the most national wins, but he missed 2 rounds. He missed a complete. Obviously, he DNF'd both motos this last weekend, and like, it's not like he was like close for the championship. But anytime you miss multiple rounds, like, unless you just win everything outright, like a la James Stewart or Ricky Carmichael, like it's not. It's kind of a moot point, but the fact is the guy is extremely talented, has shown it, and will continue to do so for star racing going forward. My biggest question mark is, what did this end up paying off? Because he wanted to have those gate drops, he wanted to get some good results. Maybe there was a contingency in there for like what his next contract is worth if he's able to get like top 3 in points going into like this outdoor season. Yeah. That's why he raced it or something like that. But now he needs to get wrist surgery.
Yeah.
He's not going to get shoulder surgery, which speaking as somebody who's had shoulder issues, riding with a shoulder that's not 100% is just, you're not going to get 100% out of yourself. So can a 95% J-Mart win a Supercross championship, and can a 95% J-Mart beat a 100% Jett Lawrence next year in outdoors, who's probably going to have the number 1 plate?
That's tough. That's going to be super tough, man. I mean, I don't know. It's such a bummer to see J-Mart falter like that. And then how many more years does he have, racing number 1 and also being in this class? You know what I mean? Like, granted, I know a lot of people say, hey, he's already a 2-time champion. Like, great, but think of the potential of J-Mart. Like, if he did clean up some years or some inconsistent rides, like the dude could have he could have done incredible things, man. Like, I don't want to say surpass Stu's stats because I'm a big Stu fan, but I mean,
he has 1 outdoor title.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, like how great could J-Mart be, with a solid, smooth, consistent SX and MX season. So it's just there
was a time when him and Cooper Webb on that Star Racing team were 1A, 1B.
Yeah, yep.
And now Cooper Webb is a 2-time Supercross champion and has won. I believe I think he has multiple outdoor wins.
Yeah.
If not, I know he went 1-1 at that Millville that we were both at.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a lot of untapped potential there, and honestly, the injuries just changed the course of the story.
Yeah.
For Jeremy Martin, because like anyone else that you can think of that has multiple championships in the 125/250 class has always gone on to be a championship challenger.
Yeah.
On the big bikes. And I don't think he's raced an outdoor national on a 450 ever.
Nope.
So, you know what I mean? Like the guy's knocking on 30 years old and he's never raced an outdoor national on a 450. Like I think he's for sure older than Coop. He's older than a lot of guys that have been in that class for a long time. So like, how does he even really make that transition now? Like, even though Zach Osborne got the championship on a 450, like it's almost like their 450 career almost gets a little bit forgotten because they spent so long on a 250. But what was your third piece on the 250s?
Third piece,
the resurgence of Austin Faulkner, because he has been missing for the last
nope
8 nationals.
You are close. It is the
Smoke and Joe Shimoda.
a little bit of both. It's going to be PC, the powerhouse of the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And I want to say, I guess number 1 would be the lackluster performance of Austin Faulkner. As a Team Green guy, I kind of thought PC would really have a lot of legs underneath him. I'll say that because you've got Shimoda. It looked like, you're going to have Mcadoo before the injuries. And then you have Shimoda, who really wicked it up towards the end of the Supercross season. And it looks like Joe Shimoda is the only lone bannerman for the team who's really putting a lot of heart into these rides. And nothing against Faulkner not putting the effort in. I'm just saying, like, Shimoda has been, I think, surpassing expectations for number 1, a young kid who he doesn't have much time on the bike, not nearly as much on the Cowie as his teammates. But the dude is like riding against like guys like Jett, against guys like Coop, against guys like Moseman, like some really fast, heavy hitters, holding his own, not backing down. He's there at the end of the motos, and he's not pressured or doesn't succumb to the pressure of being out front and riding for the PC squad. So I'm very impressed. I think Joe Shimoda is so great for the sport. I've been a fan of his since minis. The dude is, even keel, super nice guy, super humble on the podium.
Honda 150s.
Yeah. Yep.
I think doing his motors.
You have a story about him, right? Don't you?
He flipped me off once.
Leave it to you to make the nicest guy in moto flip them off, dude.
Yeah, he wasn't nice that day. It was it was at Milestone. Yep. I was being in the way because I'm slow and old, and I think he must have been this is in 2018, I think.
Okay.
So he.
Young dude
at best.
Yeah, young dude.
And he comes by me going 100 miles an hour, and we clip handlebars, and he goes down, and I'm like picking my bike up, and he like gets off and kind of gives me one of these.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm like, you hit me.
Yeah.
And he just kind of goes to ride away. And then he just gives me a quick, like, it was the wimpiest, like, hey, fuck you. And then I went and found him in the pits, and I was like, you want to talk about it? Like, cause I don't even know who this kid was.
Yeah.
And frankly, I didn't care.
Yeah.
All I know is you flipped off some Canadian kid who doesn't really know who, like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then I got some shit from, I think Justin Starling. It was like, yeah, it's the Shimoda killer. Weeks later, but either way, the kid, honestly, I've interviewed him since.
Yep.
Super nice guy.
Yep.
We hashed it out, kind of. I don't think he fully even knew that I was the same person, which is both hilarious and convenient.
Yeah.
But like, what I like about Joe is that he's not scared to continue to progress as a professional.
Yeah.
Like, you got a lot of guys who they come out of amateurs, they have some success, or they're kind of mediocre, and that's where they stay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see them like climb significantly. But with Joe, you actually see a lot of dividends in his work. You see, when he gets a good start, he's able to hang up there with those guys, and he fights for positions. I'm sure he's a pain in the ass to ride against, because he doesn't give anything up. And if he gets a good start, like, not totally the same, but very much like a la like Vince Freeze.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm gonna fight tooth and nail for every single one of these positions, and at the end of the day, it actually ends up paying off very well, because when he gets a good start, even if he loses a couple of spots, third or fourth isn't a bad day.
Yeah.
And good to see him on the podium. He's got great style on the bike. I think even better days to come. Speaking specifically about pro circuit, it has been an absolute tire fire ever since Blake Baggett left that team, and that was in 2012.
Yeah.
They obviously had some success with Cian Cerullo, but that was kind of hit or miss. Should have won that Supercross championship, but Adam, it's been like, there was like weekends where you're like PC 1, 2, 3, like the carbureted 250Fs. Lights out. Ben Townley, Brett Metcalf, put anyone on that bike and they're going to win.
Yeah.
But some injuries, like if you like, I first started covering this sport in 2014. Everyone was like, watch out for Austin Faulkner. He's on a super mini. This kid's going to be lights out. And for all intents and purposes, he's been the class of the field speed wise since then. Yeah. Like, for sure. He was on the move when he crashed at Anaheim 1 that year.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he's had knee injuries and shoulder injuries and collarbones. Those all add up.
Yes.
And then, like, anytime that you have like the starting quarterback for the Chargers porking your girlfriend, that's never good. And then like there's that whole thing. It's like nobody likes that. It's just it's the worst thing in the world.
That's never.
And then he's
fun.
still with her now, which is awkward and kind of weird. And like, what are you doing with your life? I suppose. And like, so obviously, like, you can't live your best when you're dealing with situations like that. Yeah. And then on top of that, then you have Jordan Smith, who I absolutely love. Jordan Smith. He's a big fan of the BigMX Radio podcast. He's been on the show before. He's a fantasy football guy, and he's a heart and soul kind of guy, but he can't stay healthy. Same thing for Cameron Mcadoo. Like, there was a time, maybe maybe not even 2 years ago, when Cameron Mcadoo was kind of on the outs. He's on his way out, riding, like, got off a fill-in ride with TLD and actually did something with it. That's how he got his ride with PC. Yeah. Like, it's just, but like, without that position, like, I don't like, he's always been on the ground. Same thing, like Seth Hamaker, ever since he won the Monster Cup for the Amateur All-Stars, it's been the hit parade of injuries for him too. Yeah. So you can't really blame the Kawasaki. You can't even blame Mitch Payton. It's just the circumstances of guys not working out. You could say the same thing about Suzuki on 125s in the middle of the 2000s. Yes. Like, who's to know that Brock Hepler is going to be stupidly fast, but then broken all the time. Exactly. Or that Davey Millsaps is going to be a lights out amateur, one of the most celebrated amateurs of all time, end up just like laying an absolute duck as for his first 2 years on a 250F. The bottom line is that Suzuki wasn't great. It put guys like Hepler, guys like Davey in a weird position, and things happen like that with, and not to say that Kawasaki's a lemon right now by any means. They're going through a not so great time. In fact, Suzuki's kind of back there now.
Yeah. If there's one thing that PC does well, they're building a good damn bike. So that's out of question. That's out of the question.
They've always been decent with that. I think better days are to come for the pro circuit team and Austin Faulkner, and everything in between. I think that guys like Joe are going to continue to progress, and they're going to be a thorn in the side of guys like Jett Lawrence for championships over the next year or so. But let's switch things over to the 450s now. Let's talk about the big bikes.
Yeah. Yep.
And first and foremost, I want to talk about the Walking Wounded.
Ooh.
And that is none other than the Austrian brands.
Yes.
Zach Osborne, Dean Wilson. Just Jason Anderson.
Yep.
The entire Husky team out.
And then you throw in COVID. That's a whole other story.
COVID gets Marv.
Yep.
And Barcia has an injury, practice crash, leaves but one man who has not been on the podium all year long in the outdoors.
Yep.
And I guess you could chalk a little bit of it up to like injury depleted field. He is a bit of on the upswing. They finally changed some stuff about the way the chassis feels for him. But Cooper Webb with a get right day on basically puts a KTM on the podium when there was he was a lone soldier out there.
Yeah, he was. He most definitely was. And I think
it blows my mind.
It's so crazy how this sport can flip things around on you that fast, dude. If you ask anyone, Austrian brands are on top right now. Everyone wants a KTM, everyone wants a gas. They've got some of the best riders, some of the best technology, and then give it a couple races and you don't see him out there. Freaking Cooper Webb, crazy how that works out. But still, like you mentioned, it was a cool almost salvage ride for the brand, right? This past weekend, and Coop
still be on the podium.
Yeah, and Coop looked rejuvenated. Remind you, tough fields, right? So the class is still stacked. You still got, Ferrandis. You still got Tomac. I mean, stacked with talent. You got Cooper. You got Sexton. Got all these fast freaking guys, right? And to best them, to do it on a gnarly track and one of the hottest days of the year. I mean, that's takes some balls,
the heat seemed real. Those guys, as soon as they're off the track, they're just guzzling water.
Did you see Ferrandis and Lawrence? They got off their bike and they were just dude, crazy.
What were they like?
Never mind.
I love it.
I gotta stop doing stuff like that.
it was a serious situation. Yeah. But good on Coop for having that get right and performing when he needed to, obviously with the rest of his running mates out. And my second point is Eli.
Yep.
He's not going to have the number one on his bike next year. He doesn't have it this year. 2 years in a row, no championships. We're seeing the slow decline of the monster that was Eli Tomac. Will he win another championship? I don't know. But on days like this last Saturday, I love watching the guy.
Yeah.
He's undeniable going to the front. He's got speed, he's got aggression, and that was one of those where you'd love to see the way that guy is just he just on certain days, very much a la Chad Reed in the twilight of his career, could still, on some days, he was still Chad. And on Saturday, he was still Eli.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, dude. That was so cool to see a resurgence from him, man. I really dig watching a good, hard-fought Eli Tomac ride, dude. The guy just punishes the track. He's flowing. It doesn't matter what line he's in. He's going to take it faster than anybody. The fact that we haven't seen him up front, a little bit of a bummer. A little bit not what we all expected, but still super cool to see that. Do you think, one question before we move on, do you think that having a blue front fender out in front of him next year is going to be that big of a change for him. It's going to be that spark he needs to get himself in gear and maybe be that ultra potent Tomac that like even the great James Stewart said should be showing at the races.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Honestly, I think that it's a good bike. I think it's a great team. I think it's a great bike and a team that has shown the ability to shape a motorcycle tailored to whoever rides it. And they've given, like, this is 1 year. You gave this team 1 year. The last time a 450 Yamaha won the championship outdoors, it was carbureted. Like, you know what I mean? Like factory right? Yamaha, Sam Manuel, you name it, could never get that thing figured out. But those guys in 1 year, and of course, I'm sure they had some help otherwise, and it is a great platform, but they were able to turn that around and have race winning potential.
Yeah.
For two different guys to be running up front consistently.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be able to do the same for Supercross. I still think that the bike is going to struggle slightly with Supercross. But with a guy like Eli Tomac, I don't think that the Kawasaki is just this like magical Supercross bike, and he was able to win lots of races on that thing. And if you don't think that he has a Yamaha that's extremely well appointed, perhaps even built a la like to spec for the like at in Cortez, Colorado, you're drunk. You're absolutely drunk.
Yeah.
Like the guy, like he's the most secluded. I ride with nobody. No one shows up at my practice track. Like the only person who would probably know if he has a Yamaha at his place is Google.
Yeah, right. Get that satellite out. Like, get that satellite out, dude.
Yeah, like there's. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out swinging. He's not going to the motocross nations. He's not even worrying about it. No off-season races. As soon as October 1 hits, you'll actually be able to see pictures of what it'll look like. It won't just be an artist rendering of a blue Kawasaki.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he's putting a serious amount of time on that motorcycle. Maybe not right now.
Yep.
But I'm sure he's getting familiar with it. I'm sure he's doing a little bit of testing here and there. Yeah. I like these races. Oh, I like these triple clamps. Oh, I like that those dog bones. Let's go with this. Let's go with that.
Yep.
And by the time Supercross rolled around, I think we're going to see an Eli Tomac was more of a threat for the 2022 title than he was for the 2021 title.
Gotcha. I kind of agree, man. I definitely think the Star Racing squad has shown us they can make a bike work for people that you really don't think the bike would work for. So I'm excited to see what happens, especially with I want to say one of those powerful engines.
Plessinger. He didn't change brands.
Yeah,
and he took a step up.
Exactly.
That is my next point. Like that's maybe the biggest vote of confidence is that it's not like he was moving to that motorcycle, but he was moving to their 450. Exactly. And leaving some things behind. They switched bars. They switched a couple of different things. And I just think that on top of just their belief in like as a rider, you have to believe that the guy who's putting the bike together and the team that's assembling the pieces is doing all the right things. And when you have that belief, you can do something special. And I think that they're doing exactly that. I
would have to agree with you. So we are definitely in agreement there. What's your last point there, Mr. Brad?
My last point is that Chase Sexton's a bad dude.
Pretty gnarly. Huh?
Chase Sexton is, to me, a guy who, if he can find a way to stare off the ground in 2022, I really like him to win a championship, indoors or out. I think that he could. This is. I'm seeing a lot of good things from him. I see speed, I see consistency, and I see good starts. So if you can put those things together and stay off the ground, I think that is absolutely lethal. And that will continue to contribute to the absolute carousel of 450 champions that we've been enjoying since 2016, because it seems like we have like a new champion almost every year. Like,
exactly.
I love it.
I think that's great.
Like, it's the parody that we forgot that could even exist. Like throughout the 80s, you had all kinds of different championships and champions like going in and out. Guys who win a couple of championships here, but never like the way Carmichael rattles off 5 and McGrath rattles off 7 and 4 for Villapoto, and in the end it ended up I think 3 or 4 with three Supercross championships for Dunge.
Yeah,
like honestly, I still think that Kenny has a chance with this thing. You know what I mean? Like next year on the line, you're gonna have 4 guys that have won Supercross championships in the recent history, all on the same line together. That's cool. I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah.
As we're also at the same time like starting to sort of see this the changing of the guard. Like you see guys like Adam Cianciarulo are going to be more established. Same thing with Sexton. I just talked about. I think Sexton has some serious potential. I think he's going to win races in 2022.
I agree. I would say stamp that for sure. The guy's gonna get a race win. It's gonna be tough for the championship bout. I will say that, but I mean, it's not far fetched for a guy that has great style, great starts, consistency, great motorcycle underneath him, like you said. Not to mention, people don't mention this enough. He's got somebody in his corner who knows a little bit about winning races, and that's the number 7 of James Stewart. So not a bad trainer to have in your back pocket. I'll tell you that much. So that's our breakdown.
I bet they do more golfing, but that's
yeah, right. Which, okay, can I get into just a little, like, just what grinds my gears or whatever? If I have to see one more fucking compilation of those guys golfing on the pro motocross broadcast, I'm going to lose my mind.
All that stuff. Don't even get me started on the broadcast, especially with Peacock. They just reuse the same content over and over and over again. Like, oh yeah, like what'd you get your girlfriend? Who gives a
shit? Yeah, they're like, where'd you meet your girlfriend? A fucking dirt bike track.
Who's making that decision? Like, who's like, you know what we should do? We should ask the guys what they got their girl like. Dude, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they shot that footage and was like, this is what we're going to use between motos.
Yeah.
There has to be something better. I'm not full of great ideas myself, but there has to be something better. That is absolute fucking horseshit.
Oh, for
and
sure.
It's not even, it's bad enough that they play it once.
Yep.
But then you're having to watch it again.
And
like,
again,
fuck you.
Yeah, it's so freaking bad, dude. Like, it's so bad. And one of the reasons why I loved pro motocross so much was, and I don't want to get too far into this, but like, you know, we had GL talking and he was bouncing off of Weege, and now that GL's not there, like, dude, it's like, I'm not gonna want to even keep the thing
like
on.
Stuff like in the pits. They would come and find Goose. And like, hey, we're here at Southwick. We're at Sandy.
Yeah.
Hey, Goose, what do you do to get the bike ready for sand?
Thank you.
And then you'd be like, yeah, all right. So we got like, and then they would like kind of play it up. Like we got
or like a new rider check-in every week or whatever. Like
CR 250 2-stroke here. Yeah. We put some pantyhose over top of the rad fins. Such and such. And then we do some of this, and you'll notice that the foot pegs are raised up a little bit because Carmichael's a short little shit. And you know what I mean? They did the same thing with Berluti and all those guys.
Yeah, dude.
Plum. Now we get like, what did you buy your girlfriend for her birthday? Like, oh, I got her a dog, or I don't know. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
shut the fuck up.
No one cares when you bought your spoiled ass girlfriend. Yeah, I don't know. It's so annoying. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna watch, now that GL's not there. I'm probably gonna watch the races with the sound on. And again, I'm just bummed he's not there regardless. Whether the guy sprained his ankle,
honestly,
whether he sprained his ankle and is out, whether he, you know, whatever the reason.
I liked what GL brought, and honestly, I think what the real tragedy, Dave, the real tragedy is the after race conversations that get had, because like Grant Langston will literally talk to anyone.
Yes. Exactly.
The last national I was at was 2008 or 2019 in was it 19 in Millville,
Yep.
Him and I stood and like just swapped stories for like an hour.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of just like random like District 23 like hangers on that are just like hanging off every word the guy said.
Yeah.
He's just dropping stories and Mitch stories and KTM in Europe stories.
Yeah.
And he's that guy. He's got his vodka cran in the other hand, and he's just living his best life. And that is the biggest tragedy of not having GL there anymore.
Exactly.
Is that those things that won't be able to happen. But
I agree 100.
And I wish him nothing but the best.
Yes,
Fro's still good too.
I was just gonna say nothing against Emick. I love watching Emick. I'm just saying GL brought that extra special sauce that I loved watching the Pro Nationals.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if you watch this weekend, like Fro was just a bit rusty.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't the world's greatest color commentator to ever live prior to getting his job taken away or having to choose Supercross. And then you just come back, you haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love his take.
Same. He's
smart.
Great. He's great.
Honestly, I wish he would open up even a little bit more about technique.
Yeah.
And he knows so much about the motorcycle.
Yeah.
I do miss when he worked for Kawasaki and he would just like plug Kawasaki's all the time. It was hilarious. Yep. I'm sure now he's going to do the same thing with 150 Huskies, but if you had to switch GL out for anybody, I'm pumped that it's it's Emick, but bummed to see GL go.
Same. And you know what? If I have to think about it, like I'll pose a question. How about this way? Who's one guy, past or present racer, who you would want in that booth spot instead of Emick? Nothing against Emick, but you know, either replace Weege or replace Emick.
No, I like Weege. Honestly, I love Weege.
I do too.
Jason Wygant is, first of all, great people.
Yep.
Just all salt of the earth. Like what I love about Weege is he's like one of us.
Yeah.
He's that like core fan who somehow, some way through the convoluted weirdness that is the motocross industry was able to somehow land himself at the tip of the spear of broadcasting within the sport. Like he's literally like the voice of outdoor motocross, a guy who like didn't even race himself, would just go to nationals in the 90s, just show up and watch them and love Bradshaw and the whole 9 yards. Like that is amazing. He just loved the sport so much and followed it so hard that now he's in his probably like late 30s, early 40s, and he's like the guy, which is so fucking cool. I ask you this though, for this, like, is this for Peacock, or is this for like a separate thing where I'd actually be able to like give truth serum to this person and like they're actually going to give me the full Monty? Because if that's the case, it's Chad Reed.
Oh, damn it!
Chad Reed would fucking say some ridiculous shit.
You took mine.
Like he would tear people to shreds.
Exactly.
He would that guy's fucking out of shape.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other thing. Absolutely love him. Like absolute fantasy. Also, J-Law.
Oh, dude, because
I think J-Law, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he follows it closer than you think.
Yep, I would agree with that, probably. Yeah,
and I also think that like you don't get that fast and that much of you don't win a Supercross championship without like knowing about the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Having good technique,
and
just being a fucking badass. Like I think he won an outdoor moto. Like there's stuff in there, and I think that would be so cool to get his take on stuff. If you just like you had him on like the complete straight and narrow, sat him down, and like, what do you think about what you're seeing right now?
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Aside from that, Taylor Kaplan, but she's like in box.
Dude, Taylor, she's solid, dude. Taylor is so freaking solid. I keep bugging her. I bug her at least once a week. I'm like, you need to make a push in becoming a commentator or like some media personality in moto. And like, I'm gonna light a fire under her.
She's welcome in the BigMX Radio like studio anytime. Happens to also be my apartment.
I'll let her know.
Yeah, I think she's aware of that.
So yeah, mine would be Chad Reed as well for those exact same reasons. So to get, I don't want to get too long-winded on the show, but I would be remiss if we did not do your favorite segment, Brad, and that is the TCE Foul Plugs Drip Check. Exactly. So I'm going to compile.
It's going to be some rain.
I'm going to compile the entire season up to now for you. Who are you going to pick for your 250 and 450 drip check, I guess, award recipients?
250s, yeah. There is only one.
Mm-hmm.
It can only be Jett Lawrence.
I would agree with you.
He's had the best kits week over week, the best colors. He pops. Like, maybe that's really what it is. Like, he has such a quiet riding style, but the gear just every time. Love it.
Saucy, dude.
450s though.
Yep.
Shit. It's gotta be Roczen.
Oh, dude.
Fox is coming. Like, as much as you're an FXR guy, and I love your family first, all that fun stuff, this, that, and everything, and I'm a Fox guy. Like, shout out to Austin Hoover. Love that guy. Gonna have him on the podcast soon.
Yep.
Fox has made a resurgence in the last 18 months.
Agreed.
They've probably put out more gear that I like in the last 18 months than maybe the 10 years prior to that.
Exactly. And you and I talked about this a little bit. I think for me, it started when I saw Roczen pull up to Daytona. I think it was 2 years ago with the all black kit with like the baby blue pinstripe and like seeing him walk by in that, I was like, oh, dude, Fox came to play. Like, they're back. And it almost gave me the feeling of like when you and I were kids, because we kind of grew up in the same era, of like when a new Fox kit came out, like when a new like 180 kit came out, and you're like, oh, this is cool. This is right. I want it.
Yeah.
I got that feeling watching Roczen walk by. So I have to say, I agree with your 250. I agree with your 450, but I got to throw in one other person for 450s. And it's just because it has been so freaking amazing seeing the new lineup, and that's got to be Cody Schock, dude. Like,
dude, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Lately, it's probably like there has been a change, the winds of change.
Yep.
When it comes to FXR, their gear actually looks different this year than it did from prior years. I give you all kinds of crap. Like, their race division stuff was just like FXR race division across. Like, it was literally just different colorways, but essentially the same damn gear, same look, maybe some updated like materials and stuff. For the most part, exactly the same thing for 4 or 5 years in a row there. But they've come to play the stuff that Weston Wozni, I think it's Wozni. He raced for the MX 101 guys in the Supercross Championship this last weekend. Up in Canada, like the electric blue across, and then with the pink on the sleeves.
Yes,
that was pretty fire. Really like it. I don't love the like frequent use of rainbow that they seem to really like. Maybe that's more your style. It's not mine, but which is fine. But like, even their 2020 stuff, or I guess their 2021 stuff with the red, white, and blue. Yeah, I got a hats off. Yeah, it's sharp looking stuff. Like, it really is. Plus, they got some like the 6D helmets. They're really clean looking. Yep. So yeah, no, hats off. I would say, and like, if there's anything that's been like a little extra check mark on Cody Schock's year, is that he's been crazy fast, but he's looked good doing it. So I'll give you that. The style of that kid is just been usually I usually don't give you you don't. So thing, I'm feeling good about this one. Good job, FXR. Okay. Good job. You guys are crushing it. So let's get into our last segment. That's our power rankings. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna say I'm looking for my top 3 this weekend to be a flow of momentum from Jett Lawrence first spot. I'm gonna call it Cooper second spot. Feel like he's a little bit under the weather. I think this next weekend coming up, he's gonna be a little bit better. And I'm gonna say Shimoda follows up with that sneaky third. The dude is he's fun under the radar for people still, but I think the guys overall is probably gonna be around that, like going like 2-3, 3-4, something like that. Okay. Which is, again, phenomenal with the talent pool that he's in. And I cannot wait to see what the guy does next year. 450s. I'm going to have to say I'm really liking Ferrandis. This is kind of like a somewhat homecoming for the few riders. I want to say Ferrandis for the overall, Kenny for that second place spot. And I'm going to give Coop feeling good from last weekend for that for third. What are your power rankings for this upcoming weekend, Mr. Gebhardt? 250s wise, it's Jett Lawrence's world. We're living in it.
Yep.
Joe Shimoda will be on the podium. I'm thinking second step. I think things continue to unravel for Justin Cooper. And this is what I throw at you. He's not going to be on the podium, but for the very first time in a top 10 overall, Jammin Joshua Barise.
Ooh, I like Jammin, dude.
He's literally from Paris, California.
Yeah.
Family is amazing. He's awesome. He's back in his hometown. He's got tons of laps there. Great support. He wants to show out for the KTM guys.
He's been climbing.
To get support.
He's been climbing, dude.
Oh, dude, I would love with his Supercross skills.
Yep.
If you obviously I don't know if he still has a deal or whatever, but if you put him on a gas like TLD gas 250F for Supercross, you're a top 5 guy.
I would agree with that.
100%. Like if he stays healthy, stay off the ground, he's a top 5 guy because he's got the skills. He podiumed on a super mini at Monster Cup. Yep. He was riding straight rhythm in 2015. Kid's on a super mini. Like the kid's got Supercross skills out the ass, and now he's getting better at motocross.
Yeah.
Like I first had this guy on the podcast when he was 12 years old. Like he is legit.
Yes.
Completely legit.
I'm surprised he wasn't on KTM shortlist for bumping him up to the factory squad. I'm kind of
honestly, I think when he was on his little rise there, he was at the exact same time as Derek Drake and Mitchell Falk and all those guys. And those guys were just a tick faster, and they were part of that that wave of dudes. And honestly, I don't think Falk is done. Max Miller is I think he might continue to race, but I don't know what his support level looks like next year. Derek Drake, same deal. There's a list of guys that are kind of in that same position that they've sort of been chewed up and spat out by the industry. But I have really high hopes for Jammin.
Oh, same here. Exact same.
This was supposed to be 20 minutes, by the way.
I know.
Anyone who's still watching this, both of you should know that Dave and I sat down.
We did.
Before 9 p.m. local. 10 o'clock now.
10 o'clock now. We'll break it up. We'll spread it out. We'll spread the wealth across multiple videos. So
no, everyone's listening to this all at one time.
For you, yeah.
Podcast.
But for people that have listened to this
5 hours of pulp, they can do an hour of this.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mathis. Because he's definitely watching, right?
Yeah, he is so watching this.
Oh man! Shout out to Steve. Man.
Fucking nope.
Good dude. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this one. It's good to get the foul plug thing back on. I really think we have to make a point to grab Manny next time. Get him in here. We haven't talked to Manny.
I like being outnumbered.
You like being the cream in this Oreo cookie.
Hey, every Oreo needs a good part.
Good. Yeah, this is super fun. Be sure to check out all the things that BigMX Radio has going on. They've got one of the best pods, and I'm not just going to say Canada. I'm going to say in the entire world when it comes to moto stuff. It's hilarious. It's informative. And the conversation is very stimulating. Definitely check out Brad's stuff. We're gonna link it below for all of you watching through YouTube right now. If you like the video, please be sure to share, subscribe, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. What do you want us to talk about next time? How do you want these foul plugs to be segmented? Are they too long?
If you want Dave to have an OnlyFans,
should I have an OnlyFans? And I'm not above that, dude. If I can get money just for showing a little bit of skin, come on. I'll do that. I don't care. Because everyone wants to see it, right? Let us know what you think. This is super fun. As always, thank you to our sponsors who are listed below, such as FXR Racing, Overshare Advice and Planning, Flow Vision Goggles, and Intake Breathing Systems. Brad, we're gonna get you back on very, very soon as a mainstay.
I got one for you.
What's up?
This is going to be a YouTube contest.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay.
Also going to be on the podcast.
Okay, let's go.
If you're listening / watching right now, all you have to do is email myself, Brad Gebhardt 88 at gmail.com, whose jersey is over buddy's shoulder here, Dave's right shoulder. Whose jersey is that? And you'll be entered to win a free Throttle Time Pieces watch, courtesy of BigMX Radio.
Look at that.
$125 value. Do it
today.
I'm
sure it's one of the easiest contests to win right now. Just gonna throw it out there.
It's pretty easy.
So yeah, check that out. And we'll link that comment below.
You want to watch? All you gotta tell me, you gotta email bradgebhart88@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Whose jersey is over Dave's right shoulder?
Whose jersey is that? All right, guys, this has been super fun. Again, be sure to subscribe. And if you guys want to go behind the scenes with your favorite riders, get yourself immersed in the industry, or kickstart your career as a vlogger, a mechanic, a team manager, a gear guy or girl, and anything else, check out thecollectivexp.com. Again, that is linked below. We've got multiple programs going out through over the year, such as arena cross, motocross, and maybe a few others that we haven't announced yet. This is going to be extremely valuable for anyone who wants to get a leg up in the industry, make some great connections that you can't make anywhere else, as well as support your local privateer and satellite support teams. Brad, this is super fun. We're gonna do this again very soon, and thank you guys for checking us out.
Later, everybody.
drip check. So Brad, we saw a lot of cool kits, a lot of cool setups.